In this city, a signature on a government contract doesn't just buy you a job, it buys your silence. Amara thought she was saving her family from poverty, but she just walked into a nightmare hidden beneath the floorboards of the chairman's mansion. When the appointments turn into a private prison, how far would you go to get your life back? The hallway of the local government office is cold and dim. Rows of desperate people sit on wooden benches. They clutch folders containing their resumes and hope. At the end of the hall stands a heavy oak door. Gold letters on the wood read, Mr. Okonkwo, Chairman. No one speaks. The only sound is the rhythmic ticking of a clock on the wall. A young woman named Amara stands up when the secretary signals. Her hands shake as she touches the brass handle. She knows the rumors. She knows the price. She opens the door and walks inside. Thanks for watching Franki Stories. If you're enjoying this, help us reach more people by hitting subscribe and liking this video. Now, let's get back to the story. Mr. Okonkwo sits behind a desk piled with files. He is a large man with sharp eyes that roam over Amara. He does not look at her qualifications. He pushes her folder aside without opening it. You want the position of senior administrator? He asks. His voice is a low growl. Amara nods, her throat tight. He leans back and smiles, but the smile does not reach his eyes. He taps a locked drawer in his desk. The appointment letter is right here. But first, we must discuss the private terms of your employment contract. Outside the office, a man named Samuel paces the dirt parking lot. He is a father of 3, and his family is starving. He needs the construction contract to survive. In his car sits his eldest daughter, Ifeoma. She is 20 years old and looks terrified. Samuel stares at the building, his heart breaking. He remembers Okonkwo's words, "Bring the girl or lose the job." He approaches the car window. Ifeoma looks at him with tears in her eyes. "Is there any other way, Papa?" she whispers. Samuel looks away, unable to answer her. Back inside, Okonkwo stands up and walks around his desk. He stands too close to Amara, smelling of expensive cologne and stale tobacco. He holds a golden pen over a document. "I have helped many women in this town," he says. He reaches out and touches Amara's shoulder. She flinches, but she does not move away. She thinks of her sick mother and the mountain bills. "One night," Okonkwo whispers into her ear. "Just one night, and your life changes forever. Do we have a deal?" Amara closes her eyes and slowly nods. 3 months have passed since the appointments were signed. Amara is at her desk, staring at her official letter. Suddenly, an internal memo arrives. It is marked urgent and private. She opens it and feels the blood drain from her face. The message is from the chairman's office. It states that all new staff must renew their insurance to keep their positions. The requirement is a mandatory meeting at Okonkwo's private guest house tonight at 8 p.m. Failure to attend results in immediate termination. The cycle of horror is starting all over again. Amara meets Samuel behind the town market after dark. Both look pale and exhausted. Samuel explains that Okonkwo called him too. The chairman wants Ifeoma to return to the guest house for the renewal of the construction contract. Samuel's fists are clenched so tight, his knuckles are white. "He promised it was only once," Samuel hisses. Amara shows him her memo. They realize they are not alone. Others are walking through the shadows, whispering about the same demands. The fear in the air is thick. They realize Okonkwo isn't just a boss. He is a predator, holding the town hostage. The guest house is located on the edge of town, surrounded by high walls and barbed wire. 2 guards stand at the gate, holding rifles. Amara arrives first, her heart drumming against her ribs. She sees other women arriving, their heads bowed in shame. A black SUV with tinted windows pulls up. The window rolls down just an inch. Okonkwo's eyes peer out from the darkness of the vehicle. He signals the guards to open the gate. As the heavy iron bars slide back, Amara feels like a prisoner, entering a cell with no key. Inside the foyer, Amara slips into the bathroom. Her hands are trembling, but she has a plan. She pulls a small silver digital recorder from her shoe. She tapes it to the underside of the marble sink, hoping it will catch the sounds of Okonkwo's threats. It is a desperate gamble. If he finds it, she will lose more than just her job. She hears a heavy knock on the door. The chairman is waiting for you in the lounge. A guard backs. Amara hides her fear, dries her palms on her skirt, and steps out to face him. Samuel stands in the shadows across the street from the guest house. He watches his daughter, Ifeoma, walk towards the entrance. His mind is racing. He remembers the day she was born and the promise he made to protect her. Now, he is the one hand-delivering her to a monster. He looks down at a heavy iron wrench in his hand. The weight of it feels right. He cannot let her go inside again. Just as Ifeoma reaches the gate, Samuel steps out from the darkness. "Stop!" he shouts, his voice cracking with pure desperation and rage. The guards instantly point their weapons at Samuel. Ifeoma freezes, looking between her father and the rifles. Mr. Okonkwo steps out onto the porch, looking down at the scene with a bored expression. "Samuel, you are making a very expensive mistake," Okonkwo says calmly. He lights a cigar, the orange glow illuminating his cruel face. He tells the guards to lower their guns, but only so he can humiliate Samuel further. "If she doesn't walk through that door in 10 seconds, your contract is void and your house will be seized by tomorrow morning." The clock starts now. Samuel looks at Ifeoma, then at the smirking chairman. 10 seconds feel like an eternity. The guards grip their rifles, waiting for a reason to fire. Ifeoma's eyes plead with her father to do something, but she also knows they have nothing left. If they lose the house, her younger siblings will be on the street. Samuel's hand drops, the heavy wrench slipping from his fingers into the dirt. He sags forward, defeated by his own poverty. "Go," he whispers, his voice barely audible. Ifeoma weeps silently as she walks past the guards and into the lion's den. Inside the lounge, Amara sits on a velvet sofa. The air is thick with the smell of cigar smoke. Okonkwo enters, locking the door behind him. He tosses a stack of termination papers onto the coffee table. "Sign these or stay the night," he says plainly. He doesn't even look at her. He treats her like a piece of office equipment. Amara thinks of the recorder hidden in the bathroom. But she needs him to say more. She needs a confession. "Why do you do this to us?" she asks. Okonkwo laughs, a cold, hollow sound that chills her. Okonkwo pours a glass of expensive brandy and looks out the window at the town he rules. "Because I can," he replies. He explains that the law belongs to the man with the gold. He tells Amara that the local police and the judges all eat from his hand. He admits that every appointment letter was a trap designed to keep the women of the town under his thumb. Amara feels a spark of hope. The recorder is capturing every word of his arrogance. But then Okonkwo turns around and notices something. He sees the faint light of a device. Okonkwo's face twists into a mask of fury. He walks towards the bathroom, his heavy boots thumping on the hardwood floor. Amara tries to block his path, but he shoves her aside with one hand. He reaches under the sink and rips the silver recorder from its hiding place. He holds it up, his eyes burning with malice. "You thought you were clever?" he screams. He drops the device onto the floor and crushes it under his heel until the plastic snaps and the wires spark. Amara falls to her knees. Her only piece of evidence is gone in an instant. Okonkwo does not call the police. Instead, he grabs Amara by the hair and drags her towards a door behind the kitchen. He opens it to reveal a steep set of concrete stairs leading into a dark basement. "If you want to act like a spy, I will treat you like one," he growls. He throws her down the stairs. She tumbles into the dark, landing on a cold, damp floor. The heavy metal door slams shut and the bolt slides into place. In the pitch black, Amara hears a soft sob. She realizes she is not alone down there. Amara crawls toward the sound of the sobbing. Her hands touch something cold and metallic, a chain. She follows the link until she finds a young girl huddled in the corner. It is not Ifelma, but another girl who went missing months ago. The basement smells of mold and old fear. "He keeps us here when we fight back," the girl whispers. Amara realizes that the appointments and contracts are just the beginning. Okonkwo is running a private prison beneath his floorboards. She feels the walls, searching for a weakness, but the concrete is thick and the door is solid iron. Upstairs, one of the young guards named Jude stands outside the basement door. He heard the screaming and the heavy thud of Amara falling. Jude is new to the job and needed the money for his mother's medicine. He looked the other way for weeks, but the sound of the bolt sliding home makes his stomach turn. He looks at the keys hanging from his belt. He knows that if he opens that door, he becomes a traitor to the chairman. He also knows that if he stays silent, he is no better than the monster he serves. In the lounge, Ifeoma stands alone. She saw Okonkwo drag Amara away. The fear that paralyzed her at the gate has turned into a cold, sharp blade of anger. She sees the crushed recorder on the floor. She picks up a jagged piece of the plastic casing and hides it in her palm. When Okonkwo returns, he is breathless and sweating. He looks at Ifeoma and smiles cruelly. "Your father is a coward," he says, stepping closer. Ifeoma does not flinch this time. She watches his throat, waiting for the perfect moment to strike back with the broken plastic. Samuel is still standing by the gate, but he is no longer crying. He takes out his phone and dials a number he hasn't called in years. It is his brother, a soldier stationed in the city. "I need you," Samuel says, his voice shaking. He explains the guest house, the guards, and the horror happening inside. His brother tells him to wait, but Samuel cannot wait. He sees more cars arriving, other men bringing their wives and daughters for the 3-month renewal. Samuel realizes that if they all stand together, the guards cannot stop every single one of them. Samuel begins walking from car to car. He taps on the windows and speaks to the men behind the wheels. He points at the armed guards and then at the guest house. "Our silence bought us these jobs," he tells them. "But our silence is also killing our families." One by one, the men step out of their vehicles. They are tired, humiliated, and finally fed up. They don't have guns, but they have tire irons, stones, and the strength of numbers. The guards at the gates shift nervously, sensing the sudden change in the atmosphere outside. The tension outside snaps like a dry branch. Samuel leads the charge, his voice a roar that echoes against the high walls. The guards raise their rifles, but their hands are shaking. They see 50 angry men advancing, fueled by months of buried shame. One guard fires a shot into the air, but the crowd does not stop. They crash against the iron gates like a tidal wave. The metal groans and twists under the collective weight of the fathers and husbands. With a deafening crack, the hinges give way. The people of the town finally pour into the forbidden grounds. In the lounge, the sound of the falling gates startles Okonkwo. He turns toward the window, distracted by the chaos outside. Ifeoma sees her chance. She lunges forward, driving the sharp plastic shard from the recorder into Okonkwo's arm. He screams in pain, clutching his bleeding limb, and backhands her across the room. Ifeoma hits the wall hard, but she doesn't stop fighting. She grabs a heavy glass decanter from the side table and hurls it at him. It shatters against his chest, soaking his expensive suit in brandy as he stumbles back, cursing her name. Jude, the young guard, hears the mob screaming outside and the struggle in the lounge. He knows the end is coming for Okonkwo. He rushes to the basement door and fumbles with his heavy ring of keys. His heart is hammering against his ribs. He finds the largest skeleton key and slides it into the lock. The bolt clicks open. He swings the door wide and yells into the darkness, "Run! You have to run now!" Amara and the other captive girls scramble up the stairs, blinking at the sudden light, unsure if Jude is a savior or a trap. The hallway is a blur of motion. Amara emerges from the basement just as Okonkwo bursts out of the lounge, clutching his bleeding arm. He sees Jude standing by the open basement door and realizes he has been betrayed. "I'll kill you all," Okonkwo bellows, reaching into his waistband for a concealed pistol. Before he can aim, the front doors of the mansion are kicked open. Samuel and a dozen other men flood the corridor. The chairman finds himself trapped between the victims he imprisoned and the mob that has come to reclaim their dignity. Okonkwo levels his gun at Samuel, his eyes wide with a mixture of fear and arrogance. "Back off! I am the chairman!" he shrieks. The men hesitate, staring down the barrel of the weapon. The room falls into a terrifying silence. Amara steps forward from the shadows, her clothes torn and her face bruised from the basement. She looks at the gun, then at the men who were once too afraid to speak. "The appointments are over, Okonkwo," she says firmly. She holds up a second recording device, a small phone she had hidden in her other shoe. Okonkwo stares at the phone in Amara's hand. He thought he had destroyed her only hope when he crushed the silver recorder, but she had played him. "I started a live stream the moment I walked into this house," Amara lies, her voice steady and cold. "The whole town is watching you right now. Every word, every threat, every drop of blood." It is a bluff, but Okonkwo doesn't know that. His hand begins to tremble. He looks at the faces of the people he oppressed, and for the first time, he sees his own ruin. Samuel takes a step towards the chairman. "Put the gun down," he commands. Okonkwo looks at the gun, then at the window where more people are climbing inside. He realizes his power has evaporated. The fear he used to control the town has turned into a weapon against him. With a hollow sob, he lets the pistol fall to the carpet. Samuel immediately lunges forward, but not to kill him. He pins Okonkwo's arms behind his back, while other men find rope to tie the tyrant's hands. The giant has finally fallen to the ground. While some men hold Okonkwo, others spread through the house to find their loved ones. Samuel finds Ifeoma in the lounge, bruised but alive. They embrace, weeping with a mixture of relief and sorrow. Amara leads the rest of the group to the basement, showing them the hidden cell where other victims were kept. The horror of Okonkwo's reign is fully revealed as more women and girls are brought out into the moonlight. The crowd grows quiet as they witness the scale of the chairman's cruelty. The evidence is now undeniable. Sirens wail in the distance. This time, it isn't the local police who are on Okonkwo's payroll. Samuel's brother has arrived with a convoy of state police and soldiers from the city. They march into the courtyard, their flashlights cutting through the dark. They see the bound chairman, the injured women, and the defiant crowd. The lead officer looks at the scene and then at Amara, who hands him her phone. "There is much you need to see, officer," she says. The handcuffs are finally placed on Okonkwo's wrists, clicking loudly. The sun begins to rise over the local government office. The gold letters on the chairman's door have been spray painted over by the protesters. Mr. Okonkwo is led away in a police van, his head hanging low as the townspeople watch in silence. There are no more secret deals or forced appointments. Amara stands with Samuel and Ifeoma on the steps of the building. The air feels lighter, though the scars will remain for a long time. They don't have their jobs anymore, but as they walk away together, they finally have their lives back. The modern police headquarters is a sharp contrast to Okonkwo's dark basement. Amara stands in a sterile, brightly lit room. She watches as a forensic technician in a white lab coat bags her 2 mobile phones and the crushed pieces of the silver recorder. Her curvy, hourglass figure is silhouetted against the blue glowing screens of the office. She feels a strange emptiness. For months, these devices were her only shield. Now they are state evidence. The technician looks at her with a mix of pity and respect. "This is enough to bury him," he says quietly. Samuel sits on a sleek metal bench in the waiting area. His tall, broad-shouldered frame is slumped, his large, powerful hands resting heavily on his knees. He looks at his reflection in the glass partition. He sees a man who almost traded his daughter for a paycheck. The guilt is a physical weight, heavier than any construction material he ever hauled. Ifeoma sits next to him, her toned, athletic arms wrapped around his waist. They do not speak. The silence between them is no longer forced by a tyrant, but heavy with the task of rebuilding trust. Deep inside the holding cells, Mr. Okonkwo sits on a concrete slab. He has been stripped of his silk suit and gold chains, now wearing a coarse orange jumpsuit. His stocky, powerful chest heaves as he glares at the steel door. Without his expensive cologne and tailored layers, he looks smaller, like a cornered animal. He hears the heavy boots of the guards outside. He expects his lawyers to arrive with a bribe, but the hours pass in agonizing silence. For the first time in 20 years, his phone is not ringing. He is truly alone. The town square is packed with people under the bright midday sun. Amara stands on a temporary wooden stage, her full-figured, confident stance commanding the attention of the crowd. She looks out at the faces of the women and men who were once victims. She doesn't talk about contracts or appointments. She talks about dignity. Behind her, a large digital screen shows the insurance memo Okonkwo sent out. The crowd murmurs in a low, rising heat. They aren't just there to watch a trial. They are there to ensure a system like this never rises again. As Amara speaks, she notices a sleek black car parked at the edge of the square. The windows are tinted, reflecting the modern glass buildings nearby. Inside, a man in an even more expensive suit than Okonkwo's watches the scene through binoculars. He holds a tablet showing Amara's live-streamed speech. He taps a ring on his finger, a signet ring with a different government seal. He picks up a burner phone and speaks a single sentence. Okonkwo was a clumsy fool, but this woman is a threat to the entire foundation. The cycle isn't over. The man in the black car is Senator Vandy. He is a tall and broad-shouldered man with a powerful, heroic physique that fills his expensive silk shirt. His broad chest remains still as he watches Amara through the dark glass. He is the one who originally gave Okonkwo his power. To Vandy, the town is just a series of numbers on a spreadsheet. He sees Amara's curvy, hourglass figure on the stage as a target, not a person. He closes his tablet with a sharp click. "Clean this up," he tells his driver, his voice cold and dry. Amara walks to her car after the meeting. The modern parking garage is filled with shadows and the hum of electric chargers. Suddenly, a motorbike speeds past, clipping her side mirror. A small brick wrapped in paper hits her windshield, spidering the glass. Amara stands tall, her full-figured, confident stance unshaken despite her racing heart. She picks up the brick. The note inside is simple. Dead men tell no tales, but living women can be silenced. She looks around the concrete pillars, but the biker is gone. The warning has been delivered. Jude, the young guard, meets Amara at a small modern cafe near the courthouse. His slim but toned frame is hunched over a cup of black coffee. He looks over his shoulder every time the door opens. He pushes a flash drive across the table toward Amara. Okonkwo kept digital backups of every insurance meeting, Jude whispers. His muscular arms tremble slightly as he speaks. He explains that these files are stored on a private cloud server owned by a shell company. Amara realizes the rabbit hole goes much deeper than one local chairman's office. Samuel stands in front of a new construction site in the heart of the city. His athletic, muscular build is visible under a bright orange safety vest. He is no longer begging for contracts. The men he led at the guest house have formed a cooperative. They work for themselves now. His broad chest swells with a different kind of pride as he checks the blueprints. However, he notices a black SUV parked across the street. It has been there for 3 hours. He realizes that while they won the battle, the war for their safety is just beginning. That night, Amara plugs the flash drive into her laptop. The screen glows, reflecting off her dark, smooth skin. She gasps as the files load. It isn't just videos of the women from her town. There are spreadsheets detailing payments to high-ranking officials in the capital. She sees Senator Vandy's name at the top of a list labeled Primary Beneficiaries. Suddenly, her screen flickers and turns red. A progress bar appears, deleting data. Someone is remotely wiping the drive. Amara desperately tries to pull the plug, but the laptop becomes burning hot in her hands.